With great power comes great responsibility. What does that mean, though? For some of you, this quote probably just went right over your heads. For others, you probably recognize this as one of the most famous quotes used by Spider-Man for many years. This quote is actually words of wisdom used by the man behind the creation of Spider-Man and so many other famous characters, the great Stan Lee. Born Stanley Martin Lieber, Stan Lee has become one of the most recognizable faces among the comic book industry and media in general. Given his old age and inspiring story, I felt that it'd be appropriate to take a few minutes to celebrate this man's life through his rise from poverty to fame and the lasting legacy he'll have on us all. To begin, the success of Stan Lee's career was not something that was easily obtained. And the decades of hard work it took to reach where he is at today is something that can be inspiring to us all today. Born December 28, 1922, Stan Lee was raised through the Great Depression. His mother and father struggled just to support their family. But despite that, he still went off to school, he still went off to college, and eventually landed a job working in the comic book industry. His early career, though, wasn't as successful as we would think. It wasn't until the 1960s his first major creation put him on the map, which was the creation of the team, the Fantastic Four. Years to follow, characters such as Spider-Man, Iron Man, and so many more that we know today were created. And through that, his popularity just began to increase and increase more to the point where he was representing Marvel Studios. How inspiring it is to know that such a successful man came from practically nothing. The values of Stan Lee, though, were not something that went unnoticed. The results of his work can be seen through the many honors and awards that he has been given. He was the owner and creator of Marvel, one of the largest media companies there are. Companies are spending all the money they can just to have a share in it. For instance, Forbes published an article talking about when Disney bought Spade, they paid over $4 billion just to own some character of rights. And through the time that their movies came out, in a span of 4 years, they made all that money back and then some. So it's a very prosperous company to be a part of and characters to own. Other honors include he received the National Medal of Arts honor, which the Washington Post calls this award to artists and patrons is billed as the highest bestowed award given by the U.S. government. Highest bestowed from the U.S. government is going to a comic book writer. How inspiring it is to know that we can follow our dreams and still be that successful. After seeing what society has given Stan Lee, let's think about what Stan Lee is leaving for us. The legacy that Stan Lee has created influences our day-to-day lives even if we don't see it. Think about it. His creations are everywhere we look. 7-Eleven, Target, the mall. In every shop window, there is something Marvel. There is Thor, there is Captain America. There's movie posters, there's commercials on TV. It is everywhere. His creations are around the world and people love them. And not only are his characters just loved for who may be portraying them or because they're good movies, it's because they're inspiring to us all, even if we're not comic book readers. Characters like Captain America inspire patriotism to some. Spider-Man is inspiring people to become good neighbors to one another. These are all positive messages that these characters are given to children and even young adults. He even has the X-Men, who are like the outcasts of society. So for those who don't feel like they belong in society, there's a group right there for them to relate to. Now, I've been in the presence of greatness. I've met Stan Lee. Though I was not allowed to breathe, talk, or touch him, I was in his presence. And for those 30 seconds I was in the same room as him, my knees were wobbling and my stomach hurt. It was all worth it. And to see how he has inspired me to follow my dreams and to know that I can be whatever I decide to do, I can amount to the same greatness as he has, is hopeful for me. And I hope now that you see the beacon of hope and inspiration that Stan Lee is.